Right now, your mind is either working for you or against you. Most men have no idea which. They grind, hustle, try harder, yet nothing moves. The reason isn't laziness, bad luck, or the economy. It's buried in the one place you've never been taught to look, your own thinking. What follows will either set you free or show you exactly why everything you've tried has failed. Your thoughts construct your future one brick at a time. Without precision and intent, you remain locked in a prison built entirely by your own mind. Success doesn't begin with action, capital, or connections. It begins with controlled, deliberate, dominant thought. Master that, and nothing is beyond your reach. Ignore it, and life collects its tax in confusion, settling, and regret. You are exactly where you are today because of how you think. Don't blame the room. Don't defend your story. You navigated here. To rise higher, you must rewire the engine driving everything. Your mind, the masses live in half-conscious trance, paralyzed by worry, saturated with fear, drowning in distraction. They think reactively, letting the world dictate their beliefs. But you know you were built for more. That rise begins with a radical overhaul of your thinking. Reject low-frequency thought like poison. Doubt is a virus. Fear is a thief in reason's costume. Excuses are anchors. Cut them loose. Correct thinking isn't positive thinking. That's surface dressing. Correct thinking isn't positive thinking. That's surface dressing. Correct thinking is iron-forged mental discipline. No thought stays unless it serves your objective. You see victory in full detail before evidence exists. You become ruthless about where your focus lands. Most people can't concentrate for 5 uninterrupted minutes. Winners sustain it for 5 relentless years. That's the gap. Your thoughts are operating instructions your body follows. Every "I cannot" slows your biology. Every "this is too hard" stalls momentum. But feed your mind "I will," "I must," "this is already mine," and you rewire your internal world at a level most never reach. That's the difference between struggling and conquering. Correct thinking doesn't wait for evidence. It manufactures it. You don't need to see the full road before stepping forward. You don't need an audience or safety net. You need one dominant purpose and the mental steel to lock on to nothing else. You entered this world with the most powerful instrument in existence, your mind. Yet no one gave you the manual. So you drifted, wished, hesitated at every opportunity. That chapter ends now. Assume full command. Train your thoughts like an elite tool. Stop feeding them low-grade content. Stop granting access to toxic voices. Your mind is a high-security fortress. Treat it that way, because your life depends on what gets through. Every lasting achievement began with a single thought, a burning, uncompromising belief, a vision guarded like something irreplaceable. While others burned energy on distraction and doubt, the great ones stayed loyal to the image inside their mind. Today we deal with how to think correctly, with force, strategic intent, and unbreakable momentum that builds empires from nothing, converts pain to fuel, and refuses to bend to any circumstance. You don't need more luck, resources, or supporters. You need sharper focus, clearer mental architecture, and greater intensity on what actually counts. The men who rise aren't fortunate, they're laser-focused. Their thoughts operate like precision weapons. Their vision burns like controlled fire. Their minds are trained for output, repeatability, performance under pressure. You can no longer afford weak thinking. It's already cost you years, peace, and the greatness you were equipped to claim. Upgrade your internal programming now. Delete every file installed by limitation. Upload belief. Upload iron discipline. Upload courage that functions without comfort. Think thoughts that produce energy, not drain it. Think thoughts that create binding commitments, not open-ended intentions. Think thoughts that eliminate failure as a final destination. When your thinking changes at this level, everything obeys. You carry yourself differently. You carry yourself differently. You speak with quiet authority. You stop avoiding risk and treat it as the price of entry. You win. Here's the absolute truth. You are one thought away from permanently altering your life's trajectory. One correct thought, one unshakable decision. One final refusal to let your mind betray its mission. Train your mind, rule your world, think correctly, and no force on earth will stop you. Every real achievement rests on disciplined thought, not wishful hoping, blind optimism, or luck. True power lies in thought deliberately trained, surgically sharpened, pointed like precision at a clear target. Undisciplined thinking doesn't just slow you down, it silently consumes years. Scattered thinking produces scattered results. But a mind trained to focus with absolute ruthlessness stops reacting to life and starts commanding it. The world clears paths for those who think with precision, who know exactly what they believe, what they're building, and have removed the option of accepting less. Weak minds drift. Strong minds move with purpose. Every man who climbed from invisible to undeniable first conquered his inner world. The mind is the battlefield. Thought is the weapon. You don't win with talent when your mind is fragmented. You don't convert potential to results with soft thinking. Wanting intensely isn't enough. You must think in ways that pull reality into existence by force. If you want what you've never had, you must think as you've never thought. Most people are permanent prisoners of recycled patterns, waking daily to mental loops of scarcity, comparison, stress, fear. Then they wonder why nothing shifts. You cannot live extraordinarily with ordinary thinking. You cannot dominate your field with disorganized, self-defeating internal dialogue. You must become relentless in your thoughts' quality and direction. Select thoughts like a general selects weapons. Filter out every idea that makes you shrink, hesitate, or reach for exits. Those thoughts were never yours. They were deposited by fear, setbacks, a society profiting from your compliance. Remove them, burn mental structures built on those foundations. Rebuild with thought aligned to strength, long-range vision, and total victory. Correct thinking isn't motivational decoration. It's the load-bearing foundation of every outcome. When your mind lacks discipline, every distraction finds and owns you. The undisciplined thinker is at mercy of emotions around the clock. But he who governs his thoughts governs his emotions. He doesn't fracture under pressure or fold when certainty vanishes. He anchors to purpose and keeps advancing. Correct thinking makes you unstoppable because it converts problems to executable plans and struggle to strategic intelligence. It produces calm under pressure, decisive action in chaos, boldness when others collapse. That's the power of mastering mental architecture. The line between average and powerful is thinking with precision regardless of external circumstances. Every person you admire who built something real moved through darkness, but their thinking never collapsed. They kept their destination image clear, repeated until it drowned out every voice of failure. That's not supernatural, it's pure mental discipline executed consistently. You don't wait for confidence to rescue you. You construct it by choosing to think as if you already possess what you're building. You don't wait for clarity from outside. You create it by eliminating distraction and committing to single, non-negotiable focus. That's what correct thinking delivers. Advantage the world can't strip. Strength, no crisis breaks. Direction cutting through the loudest noise. Train your mind with high-stakes intensity because your entire life hangs in the balance. Refuse to let your reign graze in fear, laziness, self-pity. That mental poison robs decades, dismantles ambition, suffocates potential before it surfaces. Treat your mind as sacred territory. Guard every gate, clean out what doesn't belong, sharpen what serves, strengthen what advances. Don't tolerate contaminating thought for a moment. When weak thought surfaces, replace it immediately. Reinforce the architecture that fortifies power, not doubt. You are the commanding officer of your mind. Never forget. Nobody builds this for you. If you fail to seize control, the world will loading your mind with confusion, comparison, cowardice. You were built for far more. Every day you hold the opportunity to architect destiny by first architecting thinking. Choose thoughts carrying strength, certainty, absolute discipline. Select thoughts aligned with mission. Reject all others. Each I can moves you closer. Each victory imagined constructs the bridge to it. Correct thinking isn't a skill you eventually develop. It's a daily, irreversible commitment. It's rejecting every mental weakness, pursuing mastery with daily intensity. It's refusing to let your mind go soft in a world rewarding distraction and punishing clarity. It's focusing with unbreakable intensity, so your future becomes the only possible outcome, because anything less costs too much. You don't need perfect external conditions to win. You need perfect internal alignment. Think with unwavering clarity, so actions become automatic. Think with unwavering clarity, so actions become automatic. Think with conviction, so no obstacle, setback, or win it there with complete dominance, and the world falls into place. Don't hesitate. Don't wait. Discipline your mind without mercy. Strengthen your thinking without exception. Think as the person you were meant to become. Then do the relentless work of becoming that person every day without compromise. You become what you consistently think. This isn't metaphor or suggestion. It's an operaphor or suggestion. It's an operating law of existence. What you repeatedly allow into thinking reshapes identity, behavior, emotional baseline, reality. Thought is the original creative force. Everything you are and are becoming traces directly to what you've chosen to think repeatedly over time. Habits don't begin in calendars or environments. They begin in mind. Emotions don't begin in external events. They begin in mind. Actions don't begin in external events. They begin in mind. Actions don't begin in circumstances. They begin in mind. Your dominant thought pattern is the invisible sculptor working around the clock, carving confidence, shaping fears, reinforcing patterns, constructing beliefs. Most people never stop to interrogate thoughts. They automatically repeat. They absorb surrounding noise, adopt it as identity, never recognizing that every unchallenged corrosive thought votes for a diminished self. You don't rise by chance, fortune, or timing. You rise by sustained repetition of right thoughts executed with intensity and consistency that reconstructs your strongest version from inside out. Every I cannot files as confirmed in your nervous system. Every detailed visualization of failure aligns emotions with that outcome. Every replay of past disappointments contracts your future proportionally, but reverse the script, commit to I can, I will, I must, and you activate dormant capacities most never access. Energy recalibrates, posture shifts, focus tightens, decisions carry the signature of someone expecting to win, not braced to lose. That's the quiet revolution, when you claim ownership of thinking, not instantaneous, not fireworks, but the most powerful force available. What you do daily becomes who you are. What you think daily becomes who you are. What you think daily becomes what you do. Every failure began in a thought. Every hesitation, surrender, choice of smaller options started with a thought accepted as reality. You didn't fail because of external events. You failed because of how you filtered and interpreted them in your mind's private theater. Your liberation is within reach right now. You don't wait for the external world to reorganize. You change the conversation inside your head. The language you use privately carries more formative power than any external influence. If internal language runs on negativity, hesitation, self-doubt, diminishment, your experience mirrors it. But commit to making that language strong, locked in, relentless, powered by genuine self-belief, and everything external shifts to match. Your mind follows dominant thought patterns' instructions with complete loyalty, building or tearing apart. Choose with full weight of that knowledge. Thought isn't passive background noise. It's the beginning point of every transformation. Reprogram your mind with urgency and precision, because this is exactly what this is. The process isn't mystical, it's mechanical. Like muscle develops through resistance, mindset strengthens through deliberate focus. Decide which thoughts earn space in your mind, which must be removed on contact. This isn't preference, it's a hard requirement of winning. You cannot sustain progress while entertaining self-doubt. You cannot build what lasts while replaying what you should have done differently. You cannot advance at full capacity running continuous replays of past mistakes. The cumulative cost is catastrophic, draining potential, delaying progress, distorting identity. You are not your failures, history, or fears. You are the thinker behind them, carrying permanent authority to choose different thought at any moment. Every morning, deliberately feed your mind thoughts aligning with purpose and mission. Bring the same intentionality to fueling mental environment as you do your body. Speak power and direction before the world speaks confusion. Hold future vision with clarity and emotional force more vivid than competing distractions. Surround internal world with thought patterns multiplying belief, amplifying capacity, not magnifying fear and doubt. Never let ambient noise grow louder than the voice inside, knowing with certainty you were built for significantly more. If that inner voice goes silent, the dream dies with it. But protect it, invest in it, strengthen it with every choice. It becomes uncontainable by external environment. What you habitually think becomes what you automatically do. What you automatically do becomes what you inevitably achieve. That's the complete chain. That's the governing law. You don't force success through sheer struggle. You think in alignment with what you're building consistently, intensely over time, and habits, behaviors. Results naturally catch up with the internal world built. Most people never break through because they never seize full control of thought process. They remain governed by outdated programming, inherited false beliefs, unhealed emotional wounds. They outsource mental environment management to accident and circumstance. But you're here to break that pattern permanently. Every pattern break begins with breaking the thought that constructed it. You cannot afford mental laziness. The price is your entire future. A mind in weakness accepts defeat before engaging challenge. It manufactures excuses instead of outcomes. It accepts artificial limitations, defending them with irrational loyalty. A mind in full strength does the opposite. It sees through fear to opportunity. It constructs new paths where none existed. It generates possibilities in environments offering none. That caliber of mind isn't assigned at birth. It's built deliberately through daily mental discipline, habitual thought patterns aligned with strength over weakness, courage over avoidance, clear intention over passive reaction. Repetition of high-quality, purposeful thought changes everything at root. Repeat the identity you're claiming until it's the only one recognized. Repeat beliefs until nothing external shakes them. Repeat vision of future until it's the only outcome your system accepts. Your thinking isn't background noise. It's your life's foundation. It's your primary weapon. It's your complete, non-negotiable responsibility to build, protect, deploy with precision. You cannot think with victim limitations and build leader results. You cannot think with mediocrity's frequency and expect excellence's outcomes. Construct new mental habits immediately. Repeat them with consistency until they operate on autopilot. That's transformation's mechanism. That's how identity reconstructs from ground up. That's how impossibility becomes your only expected outcome. Correct thinking isn't soft. It's precise, forceful, mercilessly focused. It doesn't drift to comfort. It doesn't wait for ideal conditions. It doesn't entertain pointless thought traffic. It issues commands, follows through. It cuts through noise, emotional static, self-generated obstacles with clean efficiency. This caliber doesn't materialize by accident or positive attitude alone. It's forged through sustained discipline, deliberate mental investment, purpose so clearly defined it becomes its own navigation. You don't stumble into clarity that changes life. You manufacture it by consistently refusing to let mind drift into weakness and indecision. Passive thinking is average person's mode, consuming everything, responding to everything, building nothing. Correct thinking is fundamentally proactive. It decides what must occur. It doesn't look outside for permission, direction, reassurance. It generates all from within. This mental operation leaves nothing to chance. It processes every thought like high-security clearance. Serve the mission and earn entry or get denied immediately. That distinction separates those who architect lives from those whose lives are architected by default. Master thought. Master everything downstream. The mind is battlefield. not because life is difficult, but because undisciplined mind is constitutionally weak. Most walk through days with completely open mental borders. Every fear gets in. Every distraction earns passage. Every outside opinion finds residence. They're not thinking, they're absorbing passively without filtration. Then they're puzzled why lives saturate with confusion, hesitation, quiet mediocrity. They've surrendered control. They've given up primary power, shaping internal world. But that territory can be reclaimed any time. Take it all back starting now by deciding to think with authority of someone leading, not following. Choose absolute command of internal environment. Run it with uncompromising standards of high-performance operation. Nothing unauthorized gets through. No fear establishes residence. No weakness takes long-term occupancy. Correct thinking has zero tolerance for drains. It systematically replaces emotion-driven reaction with execution-driven action. Replaces doubt with discipline, functioning without emotional reinforcement. Replaces ambient noise with precisely calibrated direction. This thinking doesn't manufacture reasons to wait. It creates internal fuel. It moves before readiness arrives. Understanding readiness is action's byproduct, not prerequisite. It operates without external comfort or permission. It identifies what must be done and executes without negotiation. That's the operational signature of mind trained to dominate. It moves through hesitation like precision instrument, through resistance, cleanly, efficiently, without losing momentum. Mind thinking correctly becomes pure instrument of execution. It doesn't maintain backup plans, weakening primary commitment. It doesn't question objective achievability. It begins from success. Assumption systematically adjusts every action and decision to remain consistent. It's not gentle, it's precise. Engineered for one outcome. Result. Correct thinking means becoming deliberate architect of destiny through every permitted thought, selecting every thought with strategic care of general choosing, decisive engagement tactics. No space for random ideation, no welcome mat for victimhood narrative. Reject on contact every thought, not directly serving vision. Every time you think small, you delay the future you claim to build. Every thought from fear foundation withdraws from momentum you can't overdraw. Every thought without locked-in intention hands power to forces keeping you exactly where you are. Properly trained mind has no tolerance for that. It operates by defined standard. If thought doesn't sharpen drive, tighten focus, advance mission, it earns no space, period. Most don't grasp how structurally dangerous weak thinking is at compounding level. It starts small. One private doubt, one indulged fear, one unconsidered distraction, one brief delay becoming permanent pattern. Before long, entire direction evaporates. Energy has no coherent outlet. Will erodes by 1,000 tiny concessions to the part wanting to stop. Because they never practiced real mental governance, they let mind move freely through territory it had no business occupying. Gave unlimited access to everything weakening, rather than building. Now they're starving for clarity given away without recognizing value. That's not warrior architecture, not builder's operating model. Become someone thinking with surgical precision and complete intent, for whom distraction isn't temptation but irrelevance, who interrogates every incoming idea, retains only what expands power, every thought evaluated against one question: does this advance mission or compromise it? Compromise means immediate removal. Advance means deeper investment. You weren't placed here for cognitive autopilot. Not designed to drift through one life in perpetual confusion, stagnation, self-imposed limitation. But if thinking remains unguarded, ungoverned, undirected, that's precisely the experience generated. Truth is brutal in delivery, liberating in implications. Your mind either actively works for you or against you. No neutral middle. If you don't exercise complete ownership, something else assumes it, and whatever assumes it determines your entire life's architecture. Answer honestly, what thoughts are you actually allowing? Sharpening your edge or softening it? Building momentum toward something real or pulling back to familiar and small. Thoughts of someone genuinely committed to winning or sophisticated at tolerating loss. Your mind must develop to fight on your behalf. That development begins with claiming total, uncompromising ownership of every thought allowed to take root. Correct thinking carries weight at first because it requires sustained awareness, demands honest self-examination most avoid for life, demands complete elimination of excuse as acceptable response, requires deliberate dismantling of blame as cognitive strategy, requires total rejection of mental patterns associated with average and relentless installation of patterns associated with mastery, requires becoming someone who doesn't simply think, but thinks like precision instrument deployed for clearly defined, deeply held mission, for whom every thought is tool, every belief operational command, every internal image blueprint the external world must eventually reflect. This is common thread through every genuine rise, not superior luck or inherited talent. They thought with greater sharpness, moved faster because thinking was cleaner, more precisely directed, produced results because they systematically refused mental space to weakening thoughts. One before first external result appeared because internal world was already completely aligned with outcome. No more cognitive clutter, no more mental fog, no more undirected meandering patterns leading nowhere. From this moment, more thoughts are entirely your responsibility. No useless thought establishes roots. No weakness grows in unexamined spaces. Select only thoughts advancing, sharpening, moving deliberately toward decided direction. With sustained, unwavering commitment, life changes at every level. When mind operates correctly, life follows. When thinking is disciplined to full capacity, actions ignite. Eliminate noise entirely. All that remains is clarity. Raw that remains is clarity, raw power, unstoppable forward progress. Success is always constructed first inside mind, long before first external sign becomes visible. Everything you are pursuing, committed to building, representing highest vision, begins as internal image so vivid, emotionally charged that reality has no choice but to align. That internal image, unshakable inner conviction, is where real, lasting success is genuinely born. Not recognition, not accumulated resources, not public validation. Long before world produces confirming evidence, you must already be living that reality inside mental architecture. Before anyone extends belief your direction, you must carry belief in your capacity so complete, non-negotiable, that doubt has no entry point. Before tangible result surfaces, your mind must be fully conditioned to expect and receive it. That's operating principle shared by everyone achieving anything real. Success forged in silence before announced in public, rehearsed in solitude before witnessed. Built and rebuilt inside mind, emotionally reinforced, mentally rehearsed with frequency and intensity, until physical world had no alternative but to reflect. This isn't motivational content for a temporary feel better. This is governing law of human achievement. Mind is original blueprint, foundational starting territory, invisible relentlessly operating engine producing everything expressed in physical world. Examine everything around, every product, every built structure, every system operating at scale. Each began as thought held in someone's mind, carried with sustained focus, genuine emotional commitment, became tangible, permanent. Your life operates under exact same principle. If internal world runs fragmented, inconsistent, dominated by conflict and self-doubt, external world reproduces that pattern. But when mind develops genuine certainty, thinking fixed, immovable on what must be, decisions transform. Daily behaviors shift in alignment. Results unfold with consistency and quality from no other source. It's not supernatural. It's alignment. Law of identity operating without exception. You cannot consistently outperform belief systems ceiling, cannot regularly produce beyond internal self-image boundaries. If picture inside doesn't include winning specific life you're claiming, unconscious mechanics reliably undermine progress every time you get close. That's why success is constructed as mental structure before expressed as physical reality. Majority have reversed equation. They wait for results before committing to belief. Want external evidence before granting internal permission. That approach is backwards, structurally guaranteed to fail. Most formidable achievers don't wait for proof before committing. They manufacture internal proof through deliberate, sustained mental practice. Hold vision of intended outcome with consistency and emotional conviction until more familiar than failure experience. Keep it active, vivid, locked until every decision, word, action guided by gravitational pull of that internal belief. World orients itself around people already knowing with complete internal certainty who they are, where headed. That caliber certainty doesn't emerge from favorable conditions. It emerges from disciplined, repeated practice of correct, controlled thought. Right thinking pattern becomes operating lens filtering and interpreting all experience. When life filters through absolute certainty lens, you move with precision others can't account for. Speak with grounded authority of leader. Operate with expectation of knowing outcome before evidence arrives. Carry composed energy of champion who already won mental battle before stepping onto external stage. That's how consistent, exceptional results are forged. Not by reacting to world, but commanding it from inside outward. Success doesn't begin day. Someone offers opportunity. Doesn't begin when conditions align, begins precise moment. You make internal decision fully, without reservation, that you're completely finished accepting less than built to create. No longer entertaining playing small, no longer tolerating mental patterns associated with average, accepting nothing beneath full expression of life equipped to build. That's when real momentum begins, when genuine clarity arrives unsummoned, when energy shifts ways people notice before explaining. They'll say you seem different, obsessed with something they can't see. They won't see years of quiet mental construction, daily visualizations, private belief repetitions building foundation. Doesn't matter. World doesn't require comprehension, only requires eventually witnessing what you already saw in perfect, unshakable clarity, inside yourself 1,000 times before physical appearance. That's genuine power, internal certainty not requiring external validation to stand, not surface-level positivity. Thinking correctly, building mental frameworks structurally aligned with execution, disciplined action, immovable belief. Anyone with functioning desire can wish different outcome, generate motivation for weekend, but those dominating their space-trained minds without interruption systematically remove every thought pattern, conflicting mission, eliminate every idea pulling backward, maintain no space for comfort of maybe or paralysis of someday. Thinking is clean, intentional, locked onto end result with targeting system precision. That generates speed, creates flow state looking effortless from outside, takes invisible internal conviction, converts to tangible external reality world cannot dispute or ignore. Every success story begins inside someone's mind, rehearsed with consistency, repeated with emotional intensity until world reorganized around producing belief. You must begin thinking as version you intend to become long before external world confirms. Thinking must carry full gravitational weight of certainty even when no one else sees what you are constructing. That's non-negotiable cost of real leadership in your own life. Irreducible price of authentic transformation. If you cannot hold it inside with complete conviction, you'll never hold it in hands. But mind accepts intended outcome as only available reality, processes vision as settled fact rather than distant aspiration. Everything aligns, people encountered, decisions made, situations unfolding, all orient in response to deliberately built internal world. Inner image always leads external result without exception, negotiation, compromise. That's precisely why correct thinking isn't optional enhancement. It's single most foundational, consequential step on path to everything genuinely capable of producing. You'll never rise beyond ceiling of vision held consistently inside mind, never build beyond boundaries of genuine belief. Success isn't generated by intensified effort without internal direction. It's generated by thinking with relentless clarity, unbroken consistency, deliberate intensity until actions become natural, automatic expression of mind already aligned with outcome. Internal image leads, aligned action follows, result obeys. That's complete sequence. Only sequence producing lasting outcomes. Majority attempts reversing sequence. They wait for external shift before granting belief permission. But highest level operators know belief is always ignition point, not finish line. They believe first, completely, without condition. Hold vision in full resolution, even when circumstances offer zero evidence, because they understand timeline, month, year, decade is simply operational detail. They already won only battle determining final result. Won it in mind's territory. From this moment, align thinking with what you're building, not what afraid of losing. Hold vision of success with emotional intensity and mental vividness becoming only framework. Body and mind respond too. Don't permit temporary setbacks or shifting conditions eroding internal construction. Deepen belief until signal louder, more compelling than environment's noise. Direct mental focus with sustained force generating momentum so powerful, no obstacles set back, outside voice interrupts trajectory. Build success in silence of disciplined mental practice through focus, consistent repetition, inner vision, no external force ever built to break. Then do work of making it real. Wrong thinking is architect of invisible prisons. Correct thinking is instrument dismantling every chain permanently without apology. These prisons have no visible walls or bars. Assembled entirely from thoughts. Thoughts rehearsing, I cannot so long it passes as fact. Patterns running old failure footage, calling it honest self-assessment. Internal scripts, conditioning, worst case expectation until anticipating loss feels like intelligence. These chains hold people exactly where they are, even when no external force opposes movement. Not imprisoned by circumstances, imprisoned by specific way, learned to think about circumstances. It's not external landscape keeping people locked. It's mental scripts executed on autopilot for years, built from limitation, accumulated guilt, untreated doubt, unconfronted fear, unchallenged weakness. You can stand in a room filled with every opportunity and remain completely blind if thinking calibrated for scarcity. Have complete physical freedom to move any direction and remain paralyzed if thoughts trained responding through fear filter. That's full, devastating power of wrong thinking. Convinces you constructing, inhabiting diminished life, even when far greater one possible, fully within reach, right now. What makes mental prisons structurally dangerous is they feel completely normal after sufficient repetition. Woven so into daily experience fabric, you stop questioning. Begin mistaking persistent fear voice for own careful reasoning. Confuse chronic caution with genuine wisdom. Start labeling self-doubt as intellectual humility. In small, almost imperceptible increments, release grip on potential without registering moment let go. That's true cost of mental chains. Don't arrive violently. Arrive quietly. Don't confront with force. Seduce with familiar comfort, staying exactly where you are. Gradually find yourself making decisions for safety rather than growth. Going quiet when moment demanded voice. Pulling back when design built to step forward. Settling into life never consciously chosen, but slowly, incrementally accepted, one compromised thought at a time. That's operating mechanism through which wrong thinking silently extracts decades from lives deserving far more. Not through obvious catastrophe, through small, almost invisible concessions, through thoughts never challenged, doubts never silenced before rooting, truths about capability never allowed fully accepting. But correct thinking, genuinely aligned, precise, disciplined, breaks every chain, doesn't negotiate with fear, doesn't request permission from environment or people, doesn't pause assessing timing, favorability, identifies mental prison with complete clarity, states with full conviction, this ends here. Correct thinking sees full truth, even without immediate confirming evidence. Recognizes mind directs body, belief is primary behavior determinant. Every external outcome begins as declaration inside private thinking territory, sees directly through illusions mental prison manufactures, systematically replaces every outdated script with something structurally stronger, more aligned with actual capacity. Doesn't ask, what if this doesn't work? Asks what becomes possible when it does. Doesn't lead with never attempted before. Leads with, this is precisely where I begin. Correct thinking doesn't offer conventional comfort, offers something more valuable, exposes every inherited lie operating under, issues direct challenge rising above every one, most unaware how much power surrendered to single wrong thought accepted without examination. One idea received without scrutiny, allowed calcifying into assumed truth, can constrain choices, limit trajectory for decades. Thought telling you value insufficient, thought concluding opportunity window closed, thought determining people from your background don't reach certain success levels. These aren't truths, lies wearing convincing disguise of reasoned self-assessment. Until identified, confronted, removed from operating system, they quietly govern every consequential choice. But moment you begin thinking correctly, commit to examining actual thought sources, testing against reality rather than accepting default, you begin reclaiming what always yours. Draw a critical distinction between who genuinely are and what conditioned to believe about self. Become free not because external circumstances reorganize overnight, but internal world fundamentally shifts orientation. Correct thinking doesn't require denying difficult circumstances reality. Requires interpreting through strength lens rather than fear. Requires selecting response rather than reacting to immediate emotion. Requires anchoring mind on what intend creating rather than what afraid facing. Correct thinking is deliberate by design, not instinctive or automatic, discipline practiced with consistency, but represents only pathway, breaking cycle permanently, cannot exit prison while simultaneously believing at some level you belong there, cannot rise above limitation while continuing defending supporting narrative, cannot build powerful, fully expressed life while sustaining powerless thinking as default mental mode. Thoughts are primary architects of life living and life eventually inhabiting. Don't take complete ownership. They continue building according existing blueprint, keeping locked inside patterns, stories, regrets long since outgrown. You weren't designed for confinement, not engineered spending one life in self-constructed prison of mental limitation. Created with complete inherent capacity, choosing differently to rise, rebuild, think entirely new way, but freedom not delivered automatically, must be actively claimed. Decide right now with full conviction, no available retreat, no longer providing hospitality to any thought diminishing power, not serving prison of self-doubt, accumulated regret, chronic shame, performance crippling fear. Every thought entering mental environment evaluated against one non-negotiable standard. Does this strengthen trajectory or compromise it? Weakens means immediate removal. Builds means reinforcement, expansion. That's precise moment transformation becomes structurally possible. Moment change develop first real fracture. Correct thinking isn't ego or arrogance expression. It's alignment with purpose expression. Sustained decision thinking way honestly reflecting actual mission rather than accumulated pain history. Commitment rebuilding internal world until reliably reflecting life genuinely want inhabiting, not one gradually settled for. Means replacing every hesitation instance with hunger for possible. Replacing confusion with clarity only coming from disciplined thought. Replacing victimhood narrative with vision of someone building outcomes rather than inheriting. When thinking shifts this foundational level, energy shifts alignment. When energy shifts, actions begin following without requiring same conscious effort previously demanded. When actions shift consistently, results begin transforming ways, confirming internal work done, but entire sequence originates at one specific point. Moment refusing to allow wrong thinking, occupying mental space, one additional second. Version of you exists fully, completely on other side of every mental chain currently carrying. That version not waiting circumstances aligning favorably, not waiting more resources, support, time, waiting for you specifically, exclusively dismantling thinking, keeping it behind door. You do that by deliberately, systematically starving every thought pattern, sustaining smallness, and equally deliberately feeding every pattern, producing boldness, clarity, forward momentum, subjecting every inherited belief to honest interrogation rather than automatic acceptance, telling yourself complete truth, even moments when truth deeply uncomfortable, not imprisoned by life as currently exists, imprisoned by interpretation of it. Moment distinction becomes real. Every wall develops cracks. Correct thinking is freedom expressed as mental discipline, vision made actionable through focused thought, momentum built from inside out, entirely available right now, this moment, without waiting single external condition changing. From this point, reject every thought-used building cage. Replace it one deliberate choice at time with discipline, clarity, uncompromising mental power of someone decided, done living inside limitations never real to begin with. You aren't broken, defeated, beyond repair. Thinking simply misaligned. Correct it at root level with complete commitment, and everything downstream begins moving favor. Real problem isn't current bank balance, not present circumstances, not visible obstacles between you and what trying building. It's specific beliefs rehearsed so many times with such consistency, calcified into feeling like established facts about who you are, what capable of, conditioned by years' repetitive exposure, seeing scarcity before abundance, registering limitation before possibility, interpreting setbacks as confirmation, permanent defeat rather than temporary data points, ongoing process. But real poverty isn't absence financial resources. It's sustained absence vision. Defeat isn't natural consequence failure. It's result deciding accepting failure as permanent identity. Experience of brokenness isn't absence inherent strength. It's progressive erosion belief. Strength still accessed, applied, none permanent conditions. Every one reflection of thought patterns not yet chosen challenging. Moment, you shift those patterns. Decisively, at root level, you shift life trajectory in direct proportion. Never genuinely been stuck. Been mentally parked in mindset, consistently producing results smaller than built generating. Majority not where need to be, don't require miraculous external intervention, require internal reset, complete, honest renegotiation, mental framework currently running life. Pray for external breakthroughs while continuing tolerating internal patterns, blocking every breakthrough landing. Wait for opportunity while maintaining specific mental conditioning, making opportunity invisible, unreachable, or unrecognizable when arrives. That stops now. You are not your thoughts. You are thinker behind them with absolute authority, choosing differently this very second. Use that authority like life depends on it, because it does.